Some time ago, I tried the demo of Undead Citadel, a physics-based fighting game that reproduces the game typology of Blade and Sorcery and Hellsplit Arena, a game with which I also compared it in another video. Now I got to play the full version of the game. I played the whole story mode, I tried the horde mode, and I unlocked almost all the weapons available, and I fully achieved the experience and knowledge needed to be able to do the review by Undead Citadel. Watch the video up to the end and let's discover together this game developed by Dark Curry, a skillful independent team that I thank for providing me with the key to the game. Let's dive in. In a medieval citadel in the heart of the forest, between icy mountains and weather conditions that make Alaska look like California in comparison, the story of Undead Citadel takes place, a physics-based VR game in which you fight, holding a sword, shield, and other typical weapons of the best film on the Crusades, which puts you in the role of a Templar who, after a long journey back from his last mission to convert the heretics, almost dying of exhaustion and starvation, finds himself in front of the remains of this place, before laughing, but not too much, town full of life and chatter, now fallen victim to a curse that has transformed the inhabitants into bloodthirsty zombies. Resident Evil has cheated us. Zombies are not slow and stupid. They run, jump, circle around you, organize themselves, parry and dodge your blows, attack you in groups and not waiting their turn as if they were in line at the supermarket, and finally, while an archer storms you with a shower of arrows that anticipate your movement, when you least expect it, they plant a sword in your back. Between fights to the death and the next, passing through the village, completely devastated by the curse, you will arrive at the castle tower, where you will face the demon himself who caused all this. Undead Citadel's greatest strength is its physics-based game mechanics. Speaking of which, the physics seem to affect the environment and combat mechanics differently. Weapons stick seamlessly into various elements of the environment, so realistically that a sword swings from the weight of the hilt after being driven through a doorway. An axe is capable of lifting the piece of wood upon which it is planted, while the object slides off the blade under its weight. The collisions are almost perfect. The hands do not enter walls, doors, or other objects, and even during the fights the shots may not reach the target because the weapon gets stuck somewhere, even in the body of the enemy himself, sometimes resulting in so hard to draw your weapon that you'll have to ditch your sword into the zombie's body and grab your secondary weapon. However, I have not found this extreme precision in the combat mechanics. It is a bit too easy to amputate limbs and head. The response of your weapon to a parried blow does not seem so real. There is no effect or feedback that gives you the impression of having stopped a sword blow from the enemy, and it often happens that the blows do not hit the point you were aiming at. On the other hand, the bow is precise and effective, which allows you to shoot arrows with precision, and in most of the shots scored, a single arrow is enough to eliminate the enemy. If you are not attacked by small hordes that appear out of nowhere, you may even surprise the enemy who has not noticed you. And remember that armored enemies must first strip their armor with impact weapons, such as hammers or two-handed weapons, and watch out for the shots taken with your weapons, because sooner or later they break. You can control the damage and status of your weapon by clicking the stick on your controller, and there are many items that, while not weapons, can be used to deal damage or block attacks. There is no running, there is no dash to dodge in any direction, you cannot jump, and you cannot kick. A real shame and, in my opinion, a serious shortcoming in a game like this. Finally, the story mode is divided into 10 levels that will take you to explore the various villages and areas of the citadel, while the horde mode will put you in front of endless hordes of enemies on which you can unleash your murderous fury, and your score will compete in online leaderboards. Everything can be taken and manipulated in Undead Citadel. Any object, useful or not, weapon or simply scenographic. You can overturn tables, chairs, bookcases, and wardrobes. You can open doors by pushing them with your weapon, and the interactions are very precise. Each object responds to the laws of physics, such as torches, which can be used to light braziers or in turn be lit by other torches or fires. Everything you do gives you feedback realistic enough to waste some time experimenting with the physics of the game. The 360-degree combat will push you to not just focus on the enemy in front of you, but to constantly turn around or try to put your back against a wall to face the small groups of enemies that will often give you a hard time. At all times you are at the center of the action. On my 1660 Ti at Ryzen 5 3600, peaks of 72 frames per second are recorded and sustained in very long stretches. In uploads between the various areas, the frame rate drops to 36 frames per second even if I never felt these drops in the headset, with the game always remaining fluid, even in the game phases in which enemies crowded the scene. Undead Citadel's graphics aren't spectacular, everything looks very washed out, the colors seem very watered down, with these shades of green and gray that quickly tire the eye. You would like to see some more color or some change of scene, but all the time you will see nothing but gray walls, fog, black clouds, and you will always seem to be in the same area, except on a couple of occasions, like when you are in the catacombs or between castle towers with mountains in the background. The level of detail also doesn't blow you away. Weapons, enemies, structures, and the environment are very rich in detail, but the definition is not crystal clear. There's this constant grainy effect that blurs and kinda muddles everything in front of your eyes. A real shame, because the variety of enemies is great and the many zombie models that will attack you give the impression of having a real army waiting for you and not 2 or 3 cloned models that repeat themselves over and over again. It's the rest of the scenario that always looks the same. However, there is an excellent management of light and shadow. I was surprised to see the shadow of my hands projected on the shield, enemies, and any other element, and when I fought in a room full of enemies in which the fire was burning of a fireplace, the shadows of moving bodies were projected onto the walls. There is the amount and variety of detail, but the definition is lacking. Undead Citadel is quite a long game for its genre. 10 levels to enter, each of which will keep you busy even for a few tens of minutes, not only for the size of the maps, but also for the complexity. Sometimes you'll have to find your way in real labyrinths full of enemies. Other times you'll have to solve environmental puzzles to unlock the way and be able to continue. Other times you just don't know where to go and you'll need to go around a bit. Then you understand that Undead Citadel is an asshole game that wants to make you go around in circles while putting the solution right in front of your eyes, and in a short time, you learn to find it right away without wasting too much time. The path to follow is rather linear. Apart from some labyrinths in the catacombs, there are no alternative routes, although you can enter each building in the village to collect new weapons and food to heal yourself, a way to make it last even longer. I completed the game in about 5 hours. Not bad for a game of this kind, and don't forget all the weapons you have to find and unlock in order to save them in the armory and use them in the end game, the endless horde mode whose aim is to slaughter as many enemies as possible. When I tried the demo, I wasn't very enthusiastic, and when I compared it to Hellsplit, one of the disadvantages of Undead Citadel was that it didn't have much variety of scenarios, but I put this aspect on hold because back then it was just about a demo. Sorry to confirm this for the full game. However, Undead Citadel has great physics applied to the game environment, good combat mechanics, the maps are vast and fully explorable, and there are dozens of weapons to find, each with different characteristics and effects. Finally though, grabbing enemies won't put them in a catatonic state. In fact, while you try to hold them still, the enemies you have in your hands will shake, making it difficult for you to manipulate, and above all they will continue to hit you, just as it would happen in reality, and it is still nicer to be able to detach the head of an enemy trying to wriggle out of your grip. Perhaps the price is a bit too high, because there are valid alternatives that cost much less, such as its direct challenger Hellsplit, which, in my opinion, wins on almost all aspects. However, I absolutely recommend buying Undead Citadel for the freedom to explore, the size and complexity of the maps, and a slightly more articulated and compelling story mode. Among the strengths, great variety of enemies, many possibilities to find your fighting style, presence of environmental puzzles. Among the weaknesses, graphics rich in detail but not very clean, AI responsive but too stupid, needs some work on optimization. I'll leave you with a few seconds of Undead Citadel gameplay. Thanks for watching fully. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Support the channel by clicking on the thanks button. It's all for now. See you next time and see you in VR. Cheers guys, have fun!